folks, thanks for tuning back in. In this video we're going to look at how we use an axe to split wood. Now traditionally we would have used an axe in a throwing motion to split wood. That's a very effective way of splitting wood, of course, but okay, there's a much safer way if we're certainly working with younger learners or people who are just starting out. So we're going to look at that in this video for you. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll get ourselves comfortable first. Okay, we'll work down to this stump here, which is a solid base, and we're going to split this piece of wood here, okay, with the axe, using the axe and also using a mallet. Okay, so the axe will take, cover off that one, and lay that across the spot we want to actually split the wood on. Take the mallet, get it balanced up nice, and then with a couple of wallops we should be able to split that piece of wood there. And as you can see, as the axe went through the wood, it embedded itself in the stump below. It's obviously a really important use for that stump. We'll do that one more time. Okay, so we'll put that back on the piece, the block there. We'll balance the axe on top of the wood, and then we can take our mallet and give it another couple of welts, and that should get us through and break that up into different sizes. Okay, you could of course change the angles. You could, rather than go sort of through the grain that way, you could actually swap it round and go through the grain that way. If you say you wanted to make yourself some fire kindling or something like that, you could split that up. Okay, you can go back to that one, lay it across there, look, get your mallet back, split it down again, and keep on going and going and going until you end up with a really thin sort of kindling style wood, which is great for starting your fires, particularly if it's been well seasoned. Okay, a piece of wood left over, that one there is a good one actually. I'll just do that again one more time just to get a piece to make a tent peg from, and we're going to again give it a good wallop, balance it up again, give it a good wallop, there we go, split it down, sort of thing we're looking for. That piece there isn't very helpful to us, so if you remember the technique we used in the previous video, and we were looking at making a simple tent peg, we could get our axe, okay, and we could just chip to lose that lump. And while we're on, if we just keep on going, might as well, now we're here, hadn't we? If we use the axe to turn this into a tent peg, actually, let's get that trimmed up. And we can just take that down. Nice and neat like that, and then we could take it around like so. And we could just round off these edges. Remember, holding the axe quite close to the head, that's quite useful. Okay, just to get a bit more control over it. Nicely thinned out. Okay, and you can actually carve with these axes. They're so sharp. Nice and steady. Get yourself a nice little blank. Making a tent peg from, maybe. Okay, let's do that again. Let's have another piece. So we'll have that axe on there, mallet, split that down, get ourselves a nice chunk like that. We'll keep onto that piece to make a tent peg from. Okay, so we'll just gather up all these bits, put them in one place so there's not pieces of wood scattered everywhere. I'll come back to this position. Okay, so we've split with an axe now. That's obviously what we've been looking at primarily, but you could turn this piece of wood into a tent peg as well. We looked at making tent pegs earlier. You could take your knife and you could whittle the side like we looked at previously. And we could just whittle that down. Okay. To make a point, you know, and we've seen that before a few times now, haven't we? People often ask me, how pointy does it need to be, Steve, before it'll make a good temp? Well, it's something for you to decide yourself, really. But if you think it'll go in the ground, it's a good start. But that's a bit blunt for me still, so I'm going to concentrate on that. Of course, there's also this position, if you remember from previous, with both elbows tucked into the knees, still working away from yourself. Okay, keep it safe as you do it. You're thinking, gosh, that's taken ages. Well, you're right, it is. But don't forget, we've got the axe, haven't we? So, let's go back to that comfortable position again. Take the axe cover off. Position our hand well away. Angles are important again, if you remember. And just use the axe to speed up the job. That way, save yourself a load of time. If it's important to you, obviously whittling can be quite therapeutic, so you can actually spend quite a lot of time just whittling your 10 pegs if you needed to. For the benefit of us today, we'll call that done. Put the axe back like this. Okay, and we're going to put that notch in so we can keep the guy line from disappearing over the edge. So we'll put ourselves a little cut in like that, and then we'll get ourselves back onto the stump and we'll just work into that little notch there, and then we can do that, keep on moving through until we end up a reasonable sized notch in our temp peg. Now do consider, if you do decide to use tools with your young people, okay, this particular technique I'm showing you right now might not be appropriate. You've got to find what works best for you and your learners. Now, if you're introducing young people to knives for the very first time, I'd always recommend getting to the side, thinking about where everything's going, working down to... If you've got someone who's a competent whittler, someone who's been doing quite a bit of work with knives, then you can always relax what you're doing and go into a more comfortable place. This is how I find this particular position the best one for me. I'll finish off my temp peg by just whittling that kind of leading top corner away, like so. That gives us a nice temp peg. Okay, and of course you could spend some time, if you really wanted to, tidying it up, making it smooth. Okay, but the choice is yours really. Depends if it's about form or function, I think is the phrase, isn't it? Okay, and I think function is probably a bit more important when you're making something like a temp peg. Okay, but there you go. I think we'll call that done. Okay, there you go. So that's using an axe to split, an axe and a knife to point up, and a knife to put the final notches in. So once again, different type of temp peg, fairly straightforward techniques.